Clergies of the Association of Diocesan Priests Diocese of Buea met this week to share fraternal bond and to encourage one another. Also, students in Catholic schools across the Diocese of Buea are engaged with the practical session of the Buea Diocesan Catholic MOG for the academic year 2024-2025. And Chief Molinge Eyele Franklin is the new chief of Bukanjo Wonjo. He was enthroned today by traditional rulers in Fako Division. Good evening, televiewers, and thanks for joining us this evening over the Divine Mercy Radio Television on Divine Mercy Prime. These stories and more will be yours in just a moment. You're welcome back. We begin at the Vatican, where the Holy Father Pope Francis' health continues to improve as prayers have been organized across the world and in Rome and the Vatican to pray for the speedy recovery of the Pope, who was admitted on the 14th of February 2024. The doctors this morning says there was no sign of asthma or other attacks as the Pope slept well. Magdalene Mondo from our newsroom took interest in this story and updates us on the Pope's health so far.
The Holy Father Pope Francis is spending his 14th night in Rome's Gemelli Hospital with severe respiratory infection which triggered various complications. The clinical conditions of the pontiff continued to show improvement, starting with the slight kidney failure earlier mentioned has been resolved. Also, a chest CT scan performed showing normal evolution of the pulmonary inflation, which is a good sign. The Holy Father continued high-flow oxygen therapy, but no more asthma attacks like of Saturday that gave a huge scare to people all over the world. Although Pope Francis has recorded a slight improvement, the prognosis remains guarded, as doctors said, because of the complexity of the clinical picture, meaning they do not think he is out of danger yet, as he still has double pneumonia. Pope Francis has suffered bouts of ill health over the past 2 years. He is prone to lung infections because he developed pleurisy as a young adult and had part of one lung removed. Hundreds of people assembled in St. Peter's Square over the past 3 evenings for rosary prayer vigils, while well-wishers have also gathered outside the hospital with faith. Cardinal Kurt Koch from Switzerland spoke about the significance of the rosary prayer at St. Peter's Square for the Pope.
I have the impression that this was a very good and pious atmosphere. I think all members of the Roman Curia who are able to come are present. And many people, many faithful are there. And this is a very beautiful sentiment of community, to be united in prayer. And when we pray, we are aware that we make all the best for the Pope. Is another who is in favor for the Pope, and to give our concern in the hands of God, that God can make what he will within this world.
Though Pope Francis has been hospitalized for 2 weeks, he has been working from hospital as Vatican business continues apace during his illness.
And prayers will continue across the world, wishing the Holy Father a speedy recovery. Now, studying science in schools, especially secondary schools, has always been challenging, intriguing, but very interesting. One of the topics that usually catches the attention of students is dissection. Hilarion Clinton from our news desk paid a visit to the CUIB Entrepreneurial High School, where we see science students carrying out the act of dissection, preparing themselves to become future doctors. His report.
Remain one of the broadest fields in the academic milieu. It is believed that students who venture into this aspect of study are driven by passion, visiting the science laboratory of CUIB Entrepreneurial High School in Moliko. It is a busy day for these upper seat science students. The dissection of a chick is a practical exercise in which the students are engaged. What is dissection?
Okay. Make a broken for my way, you understand, friend. Today is a wonderful day for Bakuri people, their culture. We don't come for demonstrate, say cheap, not the small. For Bakuri talk say, Bawa Adalenguma. Say even if na baby viper bite you, you must go hospital.
These were the rights of the enthronement by the custodian of the custom and tradition of Fako Division, headed by the paramount ruler, His Royal Highness Robert Esoka Endeli, during the coronation of the chief of Bonganjo Wonjo village, His Royal Highness Franklin Eyole Mulinge, this Friday, 28th of February 2025. The crowd-filling event brought together traditional rulers, civil authorities, villagers, and invitees who all came to witness a new dawn in that community. The young dynamic chief, who many see and desire as someone who will bring positive transformation in the village, assures the villagers of bright days ahead with what he has in store for the community.
Looking forward to work very close with our municipality, the mayors, to see how we can bring.
We are sorry for that mix-up there. We are supposed to have the report of Hilarion Clinton, who paid a visit to the Catholic University Institute Entrepreneurial High School, where we see science students who are currently writing the practical sessions of the Boyo Diocese Catholic Morgue dissecting, and it's a good practice that prepares them to be future doctors. His report.
Science remains one of the broadest fields in the academic milieu. It is believed that students who venture into this aspect of study are driven by passion. Visiting the science laboratory of CUIB Entrepreneurial High School in Moliko, it is a busy day for these upper seat science students. The dissection of a chick is a practical exercise in which the students are engaged. What is dissection? This is the question that biology teacher Elvis Mufo, who serves as a school's academic dean too, tackles.
Dissection is just simply, you cut open the internal cavity, you cut open an organism to display the internal organs and every other feature which is internal. Of course, we start by, discussing about the external before cutting open the organism. That's just essentially dissection, to cut open to display the internal system of the organism.
This science student, who is a GCE candidate for this 2025, explains the process involved in the dissection of a chick.
We began by incising a little portion of the fowl. Before that, we even wet it, then incise, then cut a little part of it right towards the trachea. Then we gently now remove the intestines, the digestive diverticulum, and other parts of the fowl. Then, since we were dissecting from the left, we had to display our organs to the right, and this is something that a lot of students really do forget during their examination, because this thing, although being so small, a lot of students do forget and makes them to lose a lot of marks. So
the importance of this particular topic in these students' future professions cannot be overstated, as emphasized by the dean.
Dissection is also important in the sense that when we do the theory in class, we talk about, for example, the systems of organisms, reproductive system, excretory, transport, and so on. When they dissect, they have the opportunity to see those systems and the structure, and we see how they are interconnected, and we talk about other things. For those who intend to become maybe surgeons, go into medicine and become surgeons, because you can think of it maybe as a mini surgery. Because dissection is just like a surgery, because in surgery you cut open a human being in this sense here, but here they work with these organisms, in preparation for that, so they know that to have a view of the internal system of organisms, you need to cut open, and so it's just preparing them towards that.
These students, who have been groomed in different areas of science, are enthusiastically ready both for GCE in June 2025 and for expanding their knowledge in science in the years to come. As scientists state, science is not just about knowing, it is about understanding, not just about seeing, it is about observing. Or better put, science is curiosity in action.
And we wish these students success in the upcoming GCE. Now, clergies of the Association of Diocesan Priests Diocese of Buea this week met at the Holy Family Parish New Town in Limbe for their session that comes up twice yearly. Apart from the main focus of the meeting, these servants of God shared and collaborate with one another, gave fraternal corrections and preached collaboration. Reverend Father Moka Njie was part of this meeting. He puts together this report.
Priest of the Diocese of Buea, belonging to the Association of Diocesan Priests, converged on the church premise of Holy Family Parish New Town Limbe for their annual meeting, chaired by the chairman of the Association of Diocesan Priests in Buea, Reverend Father Asek Bernard. The priest, united with their chairperson, opened up as they discussed among each other to work for the good of the diocese and for the growth in faith in the lives of the Christian faithful.
The chairman of the Association of Diocesan Priests of the Diocese of Buea. Today we had a meeting in Holy Family Parish, Newtown, and I was very happy, first of all, with the attendance of the meeting. There were very many priests there, and also the Mass, there were many priests at Mass. Then secondly, also, their contributions were just so marvelous because many priests were down to earth. They were very frank in their discussion. And from what I saw, all the priests are really interested to see that the diocese moves to the right direction. And from the resolutions that we made, all the priests, they want to work for the diocese and we want to be united in all that we do. Then lastly, what I saw about this meeting is that some of the priests who were lax in attendance, we saw them today. And from what we have decided, we want to make sure that everybody should be on board.
Progress, fraternal concern, the greater good, and love for one another has always been the golden concern of priests for such a moment of reunion and encouragement with one another. The Christian faithful equally underscored the joy of the faithful witnessing the presence of the priest as they commenced prayer with the celebration of Holy Mass.
Rambo Maxeline from Holy Family Parish, Newtown, Limbe. We are so happy that the priests of the diocese came here today to have their annual general meeting. We are so happy because it is very rare, and for us to see even some of the priests that have gone on transfer, we have seen them today.
Conducive living and benefit from a common brotherhood was a key point, as one of the elderly priests, Father John Chamda, underscored in a closing remark.
I think that I should make it so positive that each and every one of us can benefit from our common brotherhood and lifestyle. I must say the discussions have been very, very frank, very, very participatory, and very, very down to earth.
At the end, the priest of the Mother Diocese of Buea, all satisfied with the fruitful deliberations and concern, parted ways to their various places of work for growth in faith in the lives of the faithful through improved services rendered as they become more and more available instruments of service in the Lord's vineyard.
Many thanks, Reverend Father Moka. Now, medical report shows that 21% of Cameroon's population have consumed or used drugs in one way or the other, and 60% of this population are young adults aged between 20 to 25. Sama Eileen from our newsroom took interest in this medical disorder and spoke with Dr. Linda Ayaba from Mount Mary Hospital. Her report.
From time immemorial, medical practitioners in Cameroon and worldwide have constantly warned against substance abuse, commonly referred to as drug abuse. However, drug abuse continues to be high worldwide, with reports saying 1 in every 17 people aged 15 to 64 has used drugs. Dr. Linda Ayaba of Mount Mary Hospital differentiates drug abuse from drug addiction.
Firstly, a drug is any substance that when taken or consumed and absorbed into the system, it alters some normal functions of the system. Generally, in the hospital or in medicine, we prescribe or administer drugs in order to achieve a therapeutic effect, that is to either prevent or cure illnesses. Now, in drug abuse, we have this behavioral disorder that leads to irrational consumption of these drugs. It could either be in terms of the amount or the route of administration. Nevertheless, they consume these drugs for non-therapeutic reasons. Most of the times is to alter the mind's functioning.
The chemicals contained in some of these substances are quite dangerous to one's health.
With drug abuse, it's a behavioral disorder, while drug addiction is actually a mental disease that leads to dependence. We have physiological and psychological dependence. The patient or the sufferer keeps consuming this drug despite its harmful effects on him or her or its environment.
The medical practitioner says it takes a lot to treat drug addiction.
So the drugs that are mainly abused could be classified in 3 categories. We have stimulants, hallucinogens, and depressants. So with stimulants, these drug substances, they stimulate the brain. The patient, or the sufferer is actually stimulated and well alert. We have something like cocaine, nicotine, amphetamines. With halogens, we have the substances, they change the patient or the consumer's perception. With hallucinogens, these substances, they actually alter the patient's mind or the user's mind in such a way that the user perceives his or her environment differently. We have an example to be marijuana, which is very common in a setting. So you find the consumers of marijuana always in a euphoric state. That means they are happy. They feel like they are very, very superior to everybody. They feel like they are actually living their best lives, but it's just a perceptive disorder. So the third category are depressants. These substances actually reduce the overall function of the body and the alertness. We have alcohol, which is the most abused drug. We have alcohol and tramadol. So these drugs actually, they cause a depressive state to the user.
Nonetheless, Dr. Linda Ayaba says a series of illnesses are related to these substance misuse. The caregiver did not hesitate to advise all against substance abuse.
Yes, drug addiction can be treated, but it depends on the substance we are dealing with, the severity of the addiction as well. Most of the times, it's been handled in a rehabilitation center, and it's a multi-dimensional approach. An individual on his or her own cannot manage drug addiction. Drug addiction or substance addiction affects the entire system. We can have mental disorders which could lead to psychosis at the long run. We have cardiovascular diseases, we have stroke, we have lung diseases, and especially for those using the intravenous route, they are very exposed to HIV or AIDS, hepatitis B and hepatitis C. Substance abuse is very detrimental, but the individual level, the family level, and the society at large. So the individual, it poses a health hazard, not only a health hazard, but it blurs your future. You're not able to focus at school, you're not able to get a career for yourself, and for the family, it becomes a financial burden.
In Cameroon, the National Anti-Drug Committee reveals that 21% of the population has used drugs, 60% of whom are young adults aged 20 to 25, with over 12,000 children under 15 years using narcotics and other psychotropic substances.
And on to this, our future story. Inhabitants of Buea have expressed joy and satisfaction over the level of work at the Mokis Garage Bridge following months of struggling with traffic and going up and down the gutters of the bridge. They spoke to our cameras yesterday as the level of the bridge nears completion. Details in the following report. Denizens of Buea for over the past months have been struggling with the traffic along the Great Support Market stretch and cars winding through the narrow path inside the market following the closure of the bridge leading to Bakuri Town and Sandpit, popularly called Mokis Garage entrance. The work on the bridge that was announced to take 6 months took longer than expected, leaving the inhabitants using the bridge and other businesses around the bridge with lots of difficulties. These inhabitants recalled the ordeal they had to go through daily with the closure of the bridge.
My experience with this bridge it has not been easy because it's difficult sometimes getting a taxi. I live at Bakuri Town, so I have to take the bridge to easily get a taxi here, and now I have to walk here and pass inside the bridge to go to my house. Some of us are not used to climbing gutters or passing through gutters, so one of my experiences is that I've fallen 2 times. I actually had wounds, but it's part of life. So
which was okay. We faced a lot of challenges because people had to go ride to Sandpit before they have a taxi. So we really had difficulties in crossing. Like there was this father I had to help when he was coming down the hill. So there was a lot of challenges when crossing. I for one, I'm too weak. Thank God I'm very weak. So there was this bridge that made it down that way. It's nice, but another challenge was because people dumped dirt beside the road, which made it like snakes were walking around.
Now we're facing challenges. Customers don't have customers because are not passing because there's no way for them to pass. Most of the customers we have here, most of them are from Bakuri Town. They never can buy here. Since then we are not been selling and we are facing a lot of challenges. Customers cannot cross and come by.
As the months almost got to a year, many inhabitants became impatient, having to deal with the traffic and challenges of climbing up and down the gutter, especially school children who, during heavy rains, could be swept away by running water. However, the long wait will soon be over as work on the bridge is near completion, with the concrete over the bridge and backfilling of the sides are taking place. Seeing the level of work at the bridge that many thought will take forever, these inhabitants express joy, for they will not have to go through those challenges again.
But now that the bridge is almost ready, we are happy. At least it ease the stress and some of the challenges we face passing through the gutter.
So I'm impressed as they make this bridge because normally the bridge was small and now it has extended, like it has reduced the rate of accident that was happening here. And I'm also impressed because those who face challenges in crossing the gutter now are going to like have advantage passing through the bridge.
For now, we have seen that they are trying to arrange a bridge, so we are happy on that.
With the Mokis Garage Bridge near completion, inhabitants are still very worried at the state of the bridge at Sandpit Junction, as part of the bridge has given way already. If this is also not attended to in time, the population might have to wait for a very long while if it also gives way. Great concerns there. Now, Franklin Molinge Eyele has been crowned the chief of Boganjo Wonjo today, with a call for him to uphold the custom and traditions of the land and bring developmental drive. The installation ceremony took place today at the Chief's Palace of Boganjo Bonjo, headed by the Paramount Chief of FACO, His Excellency Dr. Suka Endeli, in the presence of other traditional rulers. Nadeshme from a news desk attended the installation ceremony and put together this report.
Okay. Neka broken, but my way need you understand, friend. Today is a wonderful day for Bakuri people, their culture. We don't come for demonstrate, say cheap, not the small. For Bakure talk say, Bawa Arabe Uma. Say even if na baby viper bite you, you must go hospital.
These were the rights of the enthronement by the custodian of the custom and tradition of Fako Division, headed by the paramount ruler, His Royal Highness Robert Esoka Ndeli, during the coronation of the chief of Bonganjo Wonjo village, His Royal Highness Franklin Eyole Mulinge, this Friday, 28th of February 2025. The crowd-filling event brought together traditional rulers, civil authorities, villagers, and invitees who all came to witness a new dawn in that community. The young dynamic chief, who many see and desire as someone who will bring positive transformation in the village, assures the villagers of bright days ahead with what he has in store for the community.
Looking forward to work very close with our municipality, the mayors, to see how we can bring some developmental projects. You know, Bonganjo Wonjo is found within the Buea municipality, so we want to work in very close synergy with the administration as well to enforce peace and security within our community.
The coronation ceremony witnessed some rites, traditions of the line, as well as handing over of the symbol of authority. Chief Herman Jume, chief of Lisoka village, expatiated on the various traditional rites.
A crown that they call a koto. Later on, he was dressed with the mango. Later, they give him the lianjo. They give him the motimbo and the lianjo. All those things you saw there, they do have translation. Our forefathers didn't tell us the English version of those things, even though they can get their English connotation. But as a Bakure man, they do have English version.
As Chief Eyole Franklin Mulinge takes over the mantle of command in his community, his brother chiefs have these wishes and advice for him.
Prayer is that he will take what the scripture says, the idea of Solomon, to lead his people very well, a God-fearing. We saw a woman of God praying there. So we believe also that he will also use the tradition of the Bakure people to see that his village also grow spiritually and also traditionally.
Also uphold the cultural values of the local people. Peace. We enjoy not just as a community but as a people and as a country.
He must have to follow the ethics of these organs. From there, I believe he's going to build a good relationship with his people in his community.
The coronation ceremony, which took place at the Chief Palace in Liongo, was featured with traditional dances by the people of the community.
Celebrations there as the community has a new leader. Now we take you out of the country. Somalia and Ethiopian leaders are meeting to strengthen ties between the two nations following years of tension between the two countries. And the UN has warned of severe famine in Sudan as the conflict in that country continues. Details on this on our foreign page. Ethiopia's Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed was welcomed in the Somali capital Mogadishu on Thursday by President Hassan Sheikh Mohamud for talks aimed at reaffirming their ties. Tension between the neighboring countries mounted last year after landlocked Ethiopia struck a deal to lease a stretch of coastline from Somalia's breakaway region of Somaliland. Ethiopia planned to build a naval base and commercial port there in exchange for possible recognition of Somaliland's independence. Mogadishu was furious over the agreement, accusing Addis Ababa of undermining its territorial integrity. Following talks mediated by Turkey in December, the two countries pledged to find an arrangement to allow Ethiopia access to and from the sea. Thursday's discussion focused on a wide range of bilateral issues from trade to security as the two leaders attempt to normalize relations. Moments before the Ethiopian leader landed, shots were fired in the Somali capital, but it is unclear if the attack was associated with his visit. Somalia's security situation is highly volatile, with the Islamist Al-Shabaab group active in the country. The Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, OCHA, said nearly 2 years of conflict between the army and the paramilitary rapid support forces has inflicted immense suffering and turned parts of the country into a hellscape. But despite widespread starvation and huge humanitarian needs, aid providers have suspended operations at the largest displacement camp, Zamzam, because of intense fighting.
More than 12 million people displaced, including 3.4 million people who have fled across Sudan's borders. More than half of the country, 24.6 million people, experiencing acute hunger. A collapse of health services, millions of traumatized children cut off from formal education, relentless patterns of sexual violence. And in several parts of the country, the already catastrophic situation of civilians has also actually worsened since our last briefing to this council less than 1 month ago.
ONU also said the World Food Programme has confirmed the suspension of voucher-based food assistance in the camp due to the security situation and the destruction of the market. She urged the Security Council to take immediate action to ensure all actors abide to international humanitarian law and protect civilians in the camp and beyond. Meanwhile, the UN Human Rights Office has confirmed reports of summary executions in areas that have changed hands, raising alarms about war crimes. Sudanese Ambassador Al-Harith Idris reaffirmed his government's commitment to facilitating humanitarian assistance and said the country is working to address its political future. And finally, there were celebrations in Khan Yunis on Thursday morning as buses carrying hundreds of free Palestinian prisoners arrived in the Gaza Strip city. They were welcomed by family and friends as one man stepped off the bus, threw down his Israeli prison service t-shirt and stamped on it. Among the former detainees were hundreds arrested in the enclave of the suspicion of militancy following the 7 October 2023 attack on southern Israel and held for months without charge. They include 445 men, 21 teenagers and 1 woman, according to lists shared by Palestinian officials that did not specify their ages. Only around 50 Palestinians were released into the occupied West Bank and East Jerusalem in this round. Their release came after Hamas earlier handed over the bodies of 4 Israeli hostages to the Red Cross. Israel had delayed the handover of over 600 prisoners since Saturday in protest against what it described as the cruel treatment of hostages during the handover by the militant group. Hamas has been sharply criticized, including by the United Nations, for displaying hostages and coffins carrying hostage remains in a stage in front of large crowds in Gaza before handing them over. The militant groups called the weekend delay a serious violation of the ceasefire and said talks on a second phase were not possible until the prisoners were freed. And that's what we could put together for you this February 28th year over the Divine Mercy Radio Television. I want to thank you all for spending the week with us, and hopefully we will join again around this table next month, that is next week Monday, for another edition of Divine Mercy Prime. But before we part ways, a reminder of our major stories once more. Clergies of the Association of Diocesan Priests Diocese of Buea met this week to share fraternal bond and encourage one another. Also, in this newscast, we told you how students in Catholic schools across the Diocese of Buea engage with the practical session of the Buea Diocese Catholic Morgue, and Chief Molinge Eyele Franklin is a new chief of Woganjo Wonjo. He was enthroned today by traditional rulers in Fako Division. We live in the company of beautiful programs still to come your way. Do enjoy your weekend in our company and have a blessed night.